All right, we're going to jump into consideration number 2, strengths-based language and thinking. So let me dive in. Many diagnoses use deficit-based language, and deficit-based language puts a negative spin on the traits of a neurodivergent person. So this slide shows some examples of deficit-based language that I actually have pulled from different reports that I have. Non-purposeful actions were described, abnormal social skills, restrictive interests, poor language skills, visual inattention, tendency to monologue, black and white thinking, limited eye contact, intolerance to change, disordered sensory processing, and aberrant intensity of focus. But we can reframe this deficit-based language and we can use strengths-based language. So let me share what I mean. And I want to mention this is more than words. This is also reframing thinking. And we're going to see in a slide, a couple slides more further along, how language and thinking are connected in our brain. And when we change our language, we change our thinking. So instead of non-purposeful actions, we can say regulatory movements. Instead of abnormal social skills, we could say neurodivergent social tendencies. Instead of restrictive interests, we can say passions. Instead of poor language skills, we can say varied communication. Instead of visual inattention, we can say need to either look or listen. Instead of tendency to monologue, we can say excitement to share information. Instead of black and white thinking, we can call it categorical thinking, which is exactly how my brain works. Instead of limited eye contact, we can say comfort with reduced eye contact. Instead of the nasty term intolerance to change, we can say love of sameness. Instead of disordered sensory processing, we can say sensory processing differences. And instead of aberrant intensity of focus, we can say monotropic focus. So what I want to do now is present this slide with strengths-based language that could have been used in every one of the reports that I looked at. Let's move on. I'd like to share quickly this table that on the left column has a list of ableist language, some of which I mentioned on the slides, and on the right column, these are replaced with strengths-based thinking and language. I also should mention that different people have different strengths-based terms that they tend to choose. So these may be a little different than others. But you can definitely, keep this, and this could almost be used as a handy reference.